Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and we've been talking about the next generation Xbox since late last year. There's been a lot of conversations about what they could possibly be doing, and well, today they confirmed their next generation consoles with a big bonus that answers my number one question, and yeah, now it just became legitimately exciting. Now, we also have a PlayStation Studio delay to talk about, which just further highlights what a huge mistake that they made. And with that, honestly, I don't think this is all that surprising. Either which way, though, we do have a lot to get into today, so make sure to stay tuned. But first, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. Let's go and get right into things, though, starting off with FBC Firebreak. This is Remedy's new multiplayer game, which that itself is something that we're not used to seeing. Remedy is known for their single-player, narrative-driven games like Control and Alan Wake, and as we've seen from other predominantly single-player developers, that multiplayer transition is a lot easier said than done. Just ask Sony about that because they're quickly learning that for themselves. This is something that we've talked a ton about on the channel, and, well, FBC Firebreak seems to follow that trend because it currently has a 65 overall score on Metacritic with a total of 15 reviews. Now, that's not really a lot of reviews, so you never completely know. It could bounce back up when more reviews roll in, but if you look over on Steam, you'll also notice that it has a 51% approval rate from users. So when you combine the two, this isn't exactly looking great for Remedy's first multiplayer outing. From what I've gathered, FBC Firebreak doesn't seem to have a lot of content, and what content it does have isn't necessarily the best of its genre. Now, clearly it was inspired by Left 4 Dead, but it also doesn't seem to compare in terms of its quality, which is why fans are currently recommending us to just, stick with Left 4 Dead instead. Now, to be completely fair here, FBC Firebreak is available on both Xbox Game Pass and on PlayStation Plus, so if you have either of those services, then, hey, you can still try it. You might even have some fun with it, but if you don't, it's a $40 game, and these reviews aren't exactly painting a must-buy experience. Now, speaking of cooperative shooters, though, one of the staple franchises for this genre will get a new entry later this year, being Borderlands 4. The only thing is that it's been shrouded by controversy, no thanks to Randy Pitchford, which seemed to throw his hat in the ring for $80 games. Well, 2K has officially decided to go against that idea. They just announced Borderlands 4 pre-orders, and you can read their announcement here. It says, Borderlands 4 is now available for pre-orders on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, and pre-purchase on PC via Steam and the Epic Games Store, starting at $70. It will also be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 later in 2025. We'll share more details at a later date, which I actually didn't know that. I'm not sure if it coming to the Switch 2 is new information or if I just somehow forgot about it, but that is pretty cool in itself. I think its visual art style will feel right at home on the Switch 2, but yeah, it will be $70 and not that controversial $80 like we were previously thinking that it would be. I think that's actually kind of amusing, though, because it was just a few years ago when $70 games were controversial, but now here we are in 2025, and yeah, it kind of seems like we're almost relieved when a game is now $70. Yeah, I mean, time can change pretty quick. Now, we also got some new information for the new Final Fantasy Tactics HD Remaster. It'll be out on September 30th, and I mean, it's widely believed to be an all-time great JRPG and a strategy RPG for that matter, but there's been a few questions about what it actually includes and what it doesn't include. So what I'll do here is that I'll first give you the good news. It'll be fully voice acted in both English and in Japanese, which that to me alone is a massive inclusion. I love the addition of voice acting for these all-time classics, and I do think that it makes these games even more enjoyable than what they were. It'll also have new conversations and scripts edited by the original director, which is actually pretty important in this case because this is where, unfortunately, the bad news comes in. It will not include War of the Lions content, which was the re-release that had a better Shakespearean translation, new cutscenes, and also new jobs. So, at the very least, hopefully, the new script will be better than the original 1998 title. It does sound like that's one of their goals, and the new version will include various quality of life improvements as well, but it is still a little bit odd that they're not including the War of Lions content, which would have easily made this the 100% go-to definitive version. Now, it could still end up being that definitive version. I do want to see how the new translation shakes out, and personally, none of this is a deal breaker for me, but it is still notable for longtime Final Fantasy Tactics fans. Okay, so let's just go get to the big story of the day, because Xbox just confirmed a lot of their next generation plans. They dropped a brand new video that details their newly formed multi-year contract with AMD, and let's just kind of take a look at what they said. At Xbox, our vision is for you to play the games you want with the people you want anywhere you want. That's why we're investing in our next generation hardware lineup across console, handheld, PC, cloud, and accessories. I'm thrilled to share we've established a strategic multi-year partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including our next generation Xbox consoles in your living room and in your hands. Together with AMD, we're advancing the state of art in gaming silicon to deliver the next generation of graphics innovation to unlock a deeper level of visual quality and immersive gameplay and player experiences enhanced with the power of AI, all while maintaining compatibility with your existing library of Xbox games. This is all about building you a gaming platform that's always with you, so you can play the games you want across devices anywhere you want, delivering you an Xbox experience not locked to a single store or tied to one device. That's why we're working closely with the Windows team to ensure that Windows is the #1 platform for gaming. The next generation of Xbox is coming to life, and this is just the beginning. We can't wait to show you what's next. So there you go. And there's a lot of information to take away from this. First of which is that they confirmed a new console that's powered by AMD and enhanced by AI. There were some previous rumors that indicated that it could be an ARM-based console, but now it's been confirmed. That's not the case. They are sticking with AMD yet again, which is extremely relieving to hear, because the biggest question that was answered in this video is that they confirmed that the next console will be fully compatible with your current Xbox library of games. I mean, that really was the #1 question that I needed to know, and I think a lot of other people needed to know about as well. We kept hearing that the next console will be connected to Windows in some shape or form, which they at the very least confirmed that they are currently working closely with the Windows team, and they even noted that you won't be linked to a single store in the future. And this does kind of suggest that the rumors might be true, that the two will be tied together. Xbox will be merging with Windows PC, which would allow you to sideload things like Steam's storefront. Now, that's not fully confirmed, but this does kind of suggest that could actually be within their plan. Now, my guess is that if it is tied to Windows, as the rumors have suggested, then it'll be very similar to how the Steam Deck currently works right now. And if you're unaware, basically, the Steam Deck is a Linux-based PC that boots directly into the Steam OS. However, you can easily swap it over to desktop mode at any point, where you can then do a lot of other PC-like things that aren't linked to Steam itself. So what I'm thinking here is that the next Xbox will boot directly into the Xbox OS, giving you that easy turn on and play console experience that we're all just so used to. But if you want, you can then swap over to Windows at any point in time, where you can then load up other storefronts like Steam as one such example. This is why their Xbox ROG Ally partnership is so important, because they're currently optimizing Windows to basically hide in the background while you game. They need Windows to be less resource heavy. That way their next Xbox console can be a gaming console first and foremost, without Windows dragging the gaming experience down. With that said, though, there was a concern that if their next console would be a Windows-based machine, which, again, it kind of seems like it's going to be, then there was that question on whether or not it would be able to transfer your current Xbox library, because there are games that are on Xbox that aren't currently available on Windows PCs. Xbox 360 games are a perfect example of that. But according to their wording in this video, which as long as they stay true to their words, those games will transfer over. So that is a huge, huge thing here, especially if their next console truly is tied to Windows, as we've heard about many, many times by this point. Now, this also means that it could end up being the most compatible console on the entire market. This means that it will be able to play Xbox Series games, Xbox One games, Xbox 360 games, OG Xbox games, Steam games, games that are on Epic Games Store, GOG games, emulation through Windows, which basically includes everything, and then even modern PlayStation games that are available on Steam. So I'd say despite Xbox's multi-platform plans, if all of this actually turns out to be true, which they seem to suggest, then this automatically makes their next console, I'd say, truly enticing. Now, I'm not saying that it'll be the best-selling console in the market, but I think they found a way to make it marketable, all while retaining a semi-multi-platform strategy, which is something that we've never seen before from a console maker. Now, that could still majorly impact their next console. We'll have to see how all of this plays out at the end of the day, but they do seem to have a legitimate selling point if all of this is actually true. So, let me know what you think. Now that we truly know some of their next generation plans, how are you feeling about their future console? Do you like this idea or not? Now, one last thing before we go. We do have a PlayStation Studio delay to talk about, and that's from their biggest acquisition ever, Bungie, and their newest game, Marathon. Now, I've said it before, and I'll just kind of say it again here. I think Sony kind of got scammed by Bungie. There were warning signs that they shouldn't have thrown the money that they did at Bungie. I never agreed with them spending billions on a studio like this, but, Jim Ryan and Herman Hulst aren't exactly geniuses when it comes to gaming. I can't think of a worse duo in the game industry right now, but nonetheless, after a ton of backlash, Bungie has officially delayed Marathon to an undefined date. Now, my guess is 2026 at the earliest, but I'll be honest here, I'm not expecting much from this delay. I know they're trying to salvage what they can, and, hey, that's probably the best thing to do in a situation like this, but I just don't see how they'll be able to manage that successfully. Like, when I look at this game, I don't think to myself that it looks terrible. To me, it just looks generic. And that's not something that you can simply fix from a delay. Its problem isn't with optimization or, bugs or anything like that. It's really more with its core idea. I mean, it also doesn't help that they got caught plagiarizing its art style. That's not great for their reputation. But again, I don't see how they can change that either from a simple delay. So I don't know. I don't really think a lot of fans were excited about this game in the first place. The reaction really kind of leans into that. So I don't think a lot of people will be upset about its delay. The only people that should truly be upset about this is Sony, because they paid billions of dollars for Bungie. And Bungie really has been a complete mess ever since. Again, how Herman Hulst still has a top position within Sony is beyond me. But here we are with another one of his brilliant acquisitions, which goes side by side with Haven Studios and Firewalk, which is the studio behind Concord. What a great track record he has. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode. But until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.